A slice of life from Kazim, under Alum's watch. Morning in Kazim came without warmth. The sky over the jagged cliffs to the east glowed a dull iron gray, and the mist that clung to the ground carried the sting of coal ash and old magic, scents the patrolmen pretended not to notice. The village sat on the ragged hem of Alum's dominion, too small to draw much attention, but too close to the Worldend Depths to be free. Sura Denwynn rose before the village bells, as she always did. In Kazim, bells didn't mark prayer or comfort. They marked schedule, compliance, certainty. She dressed in gray on gray, her hair bound in a miner's wrap. The only color she wore was beneath her shirt, a scrap of sapphire cloth tied around her wrist. A memory, a warning, a promise. Her boots crunched across the shale path as she stepped out onto her holding. The glass fields shimmered faintly beneath the frost, rows of shard wheat and smoke root, crops that grew where nothing sane should grow. The land here was poisoned by the Roil long ago, its magic soaked deep into the soil. No amount of Alum's cleansing pylons could change that. She passed her scarecrow, stitched from burn cloth and iron wire, and moved to the center of her plot. There, half buried in frost and ash, sat a stone marker, no different from 1,000 boundary stones across the Empire. Except this one hummed. Sura knelt. She checked the copper ring hidden in the dirt around it, untarnished. The sigils beneath the moss hadn't been disturbed. She placed 3 fingers to the flat of the stone and whispered, lips barely moving, "Bind the harvest, mute the roots, still the eyes." The glyph shimmered faintly, blue and quiet, the kind of magic that breathed rather than burned. It faded quickly, that was necessary. In Kazim, a flash of color at the wrong time could mean a knock at your door, or worse, silence where once there had been neighbors. Back in her cottage, she boiled blackroot tea and chewed a slice of bitter grain loaf while listening for patrol boots on the road. None today. A good sign. Across the fence, old Bray, the glassmith, was already out front, hammering new panes into the shutters of his kiln shed. He glanced over and nodded once. Nothing more. Bray didn't wave anymore, not since his nephew had been taken. By midday, Sura hauled her harvest to the processing depot near the edge of town. Its walls bore the mark of the Faceless Council, 3 cold eyes etched into steel. Inside, she handed off her crates to Inspector Nevrin, a silent, watchful man who marked things with a grease pencil and never asked questions about how crops grew on land too cracked to hold rain. She didn't speak either. No one did. On her way back through town, Sura passed the drywell square, where children were supposed to play. Today, it was empty. The air near the depths felt heavier than usual. She adjusted her scarf and kept walking. Behind her home, at the edge of a collapsed ravine that marked the unofficial border with the Roil-bent, she paused to check the watch glass she'd hidden beneath a false stone. It shimmered faintly, a ripple of motion somewhere along the wards. She frowned. Not a beast. A man. She didn't return inside immediately. Instead, she knelt and planted her hand against the cold soil again. No glyph this time. Just a whisper into the earth itself. A call only the land would hear. She stood then, adjusting her cloak as a passing fog began to drift in from the chasm. Behind her, the shard-light shrine stood quiet and abandoned, burned out 2 winters ago when the wardens found a hidden altar. Some said the shrine's old keeper had walked into the Worldend Depths rather than face trial. Sura didn't believe that. She believed he was still watching. As evening fell, she sat near her shuttered window, sipping the last of her tea, and watching a pair of silencer riders pass through the main street. Black cloaks, mirrored helms, no words. She didn't breathe until they were gone. Later, she lit a single flame under the kettle, casting a narrow blue glow across the small rune-etched spoon tucked behind the hearth brick. Still warm, still safe, still quiet. For another night, that would be enough.